Hello, my name is Josh Epps. Today I'm going to be presenting my 7th week final project on Southwest Airlines Corporation versus Saxon. So let's begin. Statement of facts. Respondent Latrice Saxon, who is a ramp supervisor for Southwest Airlines, trains and supervises teams at ramp agents who physically load and unload cargo on and off airplanes that travel across the country. Like many ramp supervisors, Saxon also frequently loads and unloads cargo alongside the ramp agents. Saxon came to believe that Southwest was failing to pay proper overtime wages to ramp supervisors, and she brought a putative class action against the Southwest under the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. More about statement of facts. Because Saxon's employment contract required her to arbitrate wage disputes individually, Southwest sought to enforce its arbitration agreement and moved to dismiss. In response to this, she claimed that ramp supervisors were a class of workers engaged in foreign or interstate commerce and therefore exempt from the Federal Arbitration Act's coverage. The district court disagreed, holding that only those involved in actual transportation and not those who merely handled goods fell with the exception, and also the Court of Appeals reversed. It held that the act of loading cargo onto a vehicle to be transported interstate is itself commerce, as that term was understood at the time of the FFA's enactment in 1925. More about the statement of facts is that Saxon belongs to a class of workers engaged in foreign or interstate commerce to which exception applies. The parties dispute how to define the relevant class of workers. Saxon argues that because the air transportation industry engages in interstate commerce, airline employees as a whole constitute a class of workers covered by $1. By contrast, Southwest maintains that the relevant class includes only those airline employees actually engaged day to day in interstate commerce. Statement facts. By contrast, Southwest maintains that the relevant class includes only those airline employees actually engaged day to day in interstate commerce. This court also rejects that Saxon's industry-wide approach by referring to workers rather than employees. The FFA directs attention to the performance of the work, and the word engaged similarly emphasizes the actual work that class members typically carry out. Saxon is therefore a member of a class of workers based on what she frequently does at Southwest, that is, physically loading and unloading cargo on and off airplanes, and not on what Southwest does generally. Statement of facts. The parties also dispute whether the class of airplane cargo loaders is engaged in foreign or interstate commerce. It is to be engaged in commerce means to be directly involved in transporting goods across state or interstate borders. Thus, any class of workers so engaged falls within one's exception. Airplane cargo loaders are such a class. The court indicated that any such exempt worker must at least play a direct and necessary role in the free flow of goods across borders. Cargo loaders exhibit this central feature of a transportation worker. Legal and ethical issues. Saxon came to believe that Southwest was failing to pay proper overtime wages to ramp supervisors, and she brought a punitive class action against Southwest under the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. The case also concerned the definition of transportation workers for purposes of exemption from the Federal Arbitration Act. Procedural history. The district court ruled for Southwest, finding that a transportation worker must actually transport goods, not merely handle them at one end or the other of a network. On appeal, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit reversed, finding the act of loading cargo onto a vehicle to be transported interstate is itself commerce, and those Saxon in the class of workers she represents are exempt from the act. Ruling of the courts. The court affirmed the decision of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit in an 8-0 ruling, holding the respondent Latrice Saxon is exempt from arbitration agreements under Section 1 of the Federal Arbitration Act because she belongs to a class of workers engaged in foreign or interstate commerce. Answer. Do I believe the court made the right decision? Yes, I do, because on appeal, the U.S. Court of Appeals from the Seventh Circuit reversed, finding the act of loading cargo onto a vehicle to be transported interstate is itself commerce, and those the Saxon and the class of workers she represents are exempt from the act. Here are my sources. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I hope you all have a great day. It was such an honor to work with everyone this semester at Winter University, and I hope everyone has a blessed weekend and a blessed week. Take care and goodbye, guys.